Hey guys, welcome to your pick a card reading. So today's reading we are going to do one for who are you meant to be with. And so I will be using all three of these decks in all three of the readings, so you're kind of just picking for the energies of each of these cards. So go ahead and take a second, sit with the cards, see if there's one that you're just kind of visually a little bit more drawn to, if there's one that kind of keeps pulling your attention in a specific direction. Sometimes too, there can be multiple messages for you in different piles, so you can like take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and like skip around as you feel called to do so. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get into the reading. All right, welcome pile one. You guys picked the Star Spinner Tarot. So the Star Spinner Tarot is pretty unique as far as tarot decks go. It actually has 4 different versions of the Lover's card in it in order to incorporate a few more different types of relationships, so it's a little bit more LGBT inclusive, which I think is awesome. And so personally, I choose to leave all 4 of the Lover's card in this deck, so if you see a couple of them pop out, that's why it is. I'm also going to be paying attention to the relationship type that is on that card if that card does show up. So let's go ahead and start shuffling. Ooh, some jumpers already. Let's see. You guys got 3, okay, and so this makes sense. We're gonna go ahead and use those. So, all right. So card on the bottom of the deck is the Ten of Swords. So I feel like for some of the people who picked this pile, you may be feeling a little defeated in love, like maybe your last relationship was one that didn't really work out exactly the way that you wanted it to, or it just kind of left you feeling a little bit wounded. I'm kind of drawn or seeing the like 3 of Swords in my mind, which is usually the heart with 3 swords that kind of stabs through it. And the energy of that is that it's not really just like this one thing that kind of left you feeling this way. It's like every single one of these swords was like an issue or an instance or even like a past relationship or something. And so you're just kind of like, you're ready, you're receptive. You want to see what else can possibly be out there for you. So for your first 3 tarot cards, so you got the 3 of Cups in reverse, or 3 of Chalices as this deck calls it, the Fool card upright, and then the Ace of Cups, or the Ace of Chalices. So 2 cup cards here and a major arcana. Definitely just like very loving for you guys. The Suit of Cups is all about just like the watery, emotional, kind of like side of things. And it's interesting, right between the 3 of Cups and the Ace of Cups is the 2 of Cups, which is the like one of the best love cards in the deck. So for the first one here though, being the 3 of Cups in reverse, so the 3 of Cups upright is all about friendship. So with it being in reverse, I feel like your ultimate person that you are meant to be with is not going to be somebody that you know beforehand. So this isn't going to be somebody that you are friends with, that you end up falling in love with. And with the Fool card here, the Fool card is the very first major arcana card, and it's all about taking a leap on something. So I feel like for you guys, you may have somebody who kind of just comes into the picture and they meet you somewhere out in public and you guys just really hit it off, and then all of a sudden they ask you on a date and you just kind of go for it. Particularly with the Fool being in kind of like where the 2 of Cups would be in this position, I feel like this will be something that does require you to kind of like, I don't know, take a bit of a leap, but it's something that I think will be very fun and rewarding for you. For the last card here, we got the Ace of Cups, all about that kind of renewed emotional state and kind of like this nice, refreshing, just like newness. Whenever you have aces, it's always about a new beginning of something. So with this being here, it's like, again, I think maybe you guys have like dated people from your friend group before. I know sometimes there's like friend groups that kind of like, it's not like they all take turns dating each other, but it's like, you guys are all interested in the same things. You try it out with person A, it doesn't work out with person A, but person B is their friend, or like, you guys are all friends together, but you hit it off with person B, and then you guys start dating. And then person A is friends with your person over here, person C, and they start dating, and it kind of becomes a little bit of a mess sometimes, just because it's like there's so many like emotions going on between that, and it's like, you guys are all friends with each other, so you don't want to be like, it's like no one person is like the bad guy in that situation for the most part, but every situation is different. Oops, sorry. I got rambling there a little bit. Whatever this is, it's like this person who's coming into the picture, they will be somebody who's like, I think very different from people that you have dated before, But that's kind of like the reason why this will work. So it's like if for the first card here, you know, on the bottom of the deck, there's that 10 of Swords. So it's like these kind of like a lot of wounds that are kind of like all very similar. Like all of these swords look almost identical. Some are a little bigger, some are a little smaller, but it's like, you know, all of the shapes are the same. So yeah, that's what your next person is going to be, is somebody who's very different and somebody who will just kind of pop in out of the blue. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards from my Citadel deck now, and we'll get some archetypes in here. Ooh. Okay. So what possible personality traits or jobs can pile one look out for? So what'll be some signs around this person to let them know that they found their one? Ooh. All right, this card on the bottom did something a little wonky. Ooh, the Merchant. Self-worth, trade. For some people, you may be getting with a trader bro, or like, you know, somebody who's into crypto or something like that. For this pile, one thing that I'm called to say is like, so I think if some of the people who are watching this pile have like tried to exclusively date women for a while, there could be a man on the horizon here, which is why it's kind of like woman, woman, man in the kind of like 2 of Cups position here. The reason I'm saying that is, and I'm also called to share a bit of my personal story, as sometimes when I do tarot readings, tarot likes to use me as a deck with my life experiences. But I am bi. I identified as lesbian for a really long time because I just kind of wasn't interested in men. You know, I'd been hurt too many times. I think we all, you know, can understand where I'm coming from with that. But the person who I'm now married to is actually a man, and like the universe really had to work for that. It had to like tell me so explicitly in several dreams that it's like, no, you are romantically attracted to this person. And I just had to wake up one day and be like, oh man, I guess I do like this guy. Like, you know, for me, we did start out as friends, so this will be a little different, but I say that because he does do a little bit of trading, and, you know, tarot felt the need for me to say that for some people. So do be open to, you know, this difference in relationship being possibly a different gender than you have dated before. Or if you've exclusively dated like women or men, maybe be open to like non-binary or something like that. Just a thing I felt called to say. Okay, so we've got Merchant, so self-worth and trade. So this person will be somebody who I think, if they're not an active like trader or somebody who does like the stock market or Bitcoin or anything like that, you know, I do think this is a person who is going to just value like fairness above a lot. And so it's like, I think they'll want to make sure that they're treating you with a very equal balance. Or it's like, you know, for all the energy you give, they want to kind of give that same energy back. Which can be refreshing if maybe that's one of the things that's wounded you before in the past, is people not reciprocating as much as they should. Or they could just be somebody who has like their own business or are involved in just kind of like the financial market in some way. Oh, the Runaway. So secrets running from problems. So this person may be somebody who also doesn't have a super strong relationship with their family, which is totally fine. You know, everybody's family situations are different. Sometimes you do need to create a little bit of space between you and your family. Or they could have just moved from somewhere too, for some of the people who are watching this. So that could be, it's like, you know, they just moved somewhere, they're trying to meet new people, they meet you, you super hit it off, and it just kind of takes off, and you help introduce them to the city and the place that you live, which can be kind of cool. You get to be like their tour guide. Let's go ahead and shuffle for one more. And the Aspirant. So ambition, diligence, and setbacks. Okay. So all of these together, kind of like very cohesive with like the Merchant, the Aspirant, and even the Runaway, because there's like diligence and setbacks here for the bottom. I feel like this could be somebody who's starting like their own business or something, and they just moved to a particular area. Because Aspirant is somebody who's like, you know, they have this drive to do better. It's like, you know, they moved here for a reason. Like maybe they moved here for a promotion or something. Could also be in like the banking world for some people. Or like, you know, a banker just transferred to a different branch or something. But Yeah, okay. So that's kind of like the things to look out for when you meet this person. So let's go ahead and do your next row of tarot cards. So how are you guys going to meet, or is there any more information you can tell us around kind of like the onset of everything? Ooh. And this deck is the Rainbow Tarot by So. This is the new version, This is the new version of this deck. She just released this, and I have it available on my website. Very excited. I'm one of the first people to sell this deck. But let's see what is out there for you. Oh wow, you got all major arcanas. Look at you guys. Okay. So you've got the Star in reverse, the Strength card, and the Devil in reverse. Very interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a clarifying card for the Star in reverse, just because I usually read the Star very positively, and this is about your end-all be-all person. So the Star when it's upright is usually about kind of like our purpose. It's like this guiding light that drives us and propels us forward through kind of like the darker times or cards that we go through. It could be for you guys that, again, this just really isn't something that you ever expected. It's like this wasn't something that you were like searching for or looking for. Like when I said it's like, oh, they'll be in finance or a banker or something, you're like, oh, okay. You know, it's like not something that really like excites you. You know, take it as this. For some people, a job is just a job. So it's like, you know, they may not be like, oh my God, yes, finance. You know, it could just be that that's what they do. But yeah, let me go ahead and cut this. Three of Swords, very interesting. So I said the Three of Swords with the Ten of Swords here. So yeah, I think kind of like I said earlier, it's like if you've been kind of going back to the same kinds of people and they've been kind of like hurting you in the same way, I think that's why it's like the Star in reverse. It's like not that thing that you're expecting, but because the thing that you usually expect or the thing that you look for ends up being the thing that hurts you. So it's like by trying this thing that is so unexpected, this will actually be very refreshing for you in an emotional state. And like, you know, don't just take this as like, okay, the next banker I meet, I have to marry, you know. Take this as just like, you know, it could be that there are a couple of steps in between you and your ultimate person, and maybe this is just the next person coming in for you. So I feel like this is, you know, this is for your ultimate person though, so these will be signs to look for the person you do end up with. But you know, there is going to definitely have to be some healing from these wounds that you have in these past relationships. And I think with, you know, how like refreshingly different this new relationship will be for you, it's like it'll kind of allow the space for the healing just because you're not consistently getting re-wounded in those same ways. It's like they'll respond to things differently than I think how you expect. And so it may be a little hard to read them sometimes at first. But I feel like that can even add to a little bit of like their intrigue when you guys do first meet. So, okay, so we've got that one here. The next card is the Strength card. So the Strength card is all about taming a part of the ego in order to kind of like develop a higher skill set in something. And makes a lot of sense with this, especially because there is something that is going to be so different from what you're used to. There is going to be a bit of an ego adjustment where it's like you are going to have to make changes in this relationship. There will be a lot of things that your ego is kind of like used to from your partners or ways that you're, you know, just like you have, you know, you're like, you have this habit of like acting a particular way in your relationships that I think may not particularly mesh with this person. And it's like, not that you and this person are incompatible. It's like, I think compatibility lies beyond just like surface level things, and it kind of lies down more to soul aspect, which again, we have a lot of major arcanas here. And you know, a really good relationship, I feel like, will be one that kind of has you constantly having to make changes for your own betterment, as well as the betterment for just kind of like the flow of the relationship, where it's like, you know, I feel like I'm in a pretty healthy relationship. It is the healthiest one I've ever been in, you know, and like, I just like, one of the things that I love so much about my husband is that we're able to kind of like talk to each other about the things that do set our egos off. So it's like if one of us is getting, it's like stuff happens. A lot of times when we are getting a little bit more like, I don't know, out of alignment with each other, it more often than not has something to do with kind of like our external circumstances. So it's like work is stressing him out a bit, so he's just a little bit more on edge. Or, for me, I'm going through a lot of really big transitions in my life right now, and so a lot of things in my life feel a little out of control. So it's like if something happens where it's like, the other day I was set off because he like just something stupid where it's like he accidentally threw something away that had a use in the kitchen, but it's just like a repurposed like spice bottle that I was using to hold up our bottle brush because it wouldn't really quite fit in anything else, and that's the only thing it could stand up in without falling over. He was unaware of that. He threw it away. And so the next morning when I went to do dishes and it's like I couldn't find the thing for the bottle brush, and it couldn't stand up. I tried putting in so many other cups and they all just kind of kept like falling over, and because it felt like a lot of other things that I was trying to have work out in my life kept falling over, it just kind of rubbed me a lot more than it would have normally. But when I recognized that that's what happened, I told him, it's like, hey, I recognize I'm having a very abnormal response to this. Just so you are aware, this happened, this set me off. I'm currently feeling just very angry. But I know that I shouldn't be feeling this angry about what just happened. And so we kept talking about it for a little bit, and then I finally realized, oh, I feel like my life is a little bit out of control right now. Not having control of, that bottle brush was just a little bit more than I could manage right now. And so, I apologize. And we grew, he recognized that, and we had a really good conversation about it, and I feel a lot better and have not been set off in that way again, obviously. And that's very abnormal. It's like, that was honestly like, to me, the most angry I've been about something in like years, which is crazy because again, it's just a bottle brush. But with that being here, the story in the Strength card is kind of like, it reminds me almost of like the book of Daniel or something from the Bible, where it's like the thorn in the lion's paw. Where it's like, sometimes when people seem angry or they have stuff going on, it's just because they've been hurt in some way and they haven't quite been able to take it out yet. So with this card being here, I feel like there will be a couple of things that you guys are able to work through together like that, where you realize it's like, oh, this is just a wounded ego. Come on, it's okay. We can work through this. And they kind of help you get up out of that. So really good. I love seeing that card here. There's also the infinity sign above their head, which shows up in the magician card too. So there's a little bit of magic that happens when we work through stuff like this too. So, all right. And the last card here is the devil in reverse. So devil card, when it's upright, it's actually interesting. The traditional version of the deck has the two lovers chained to the bottom of the devil's altar here. In this version, it's got two little bats, which is cute. But the energy of this is like letting our own bad habits or cycles kind of like prevent us from being able to fully engage with the people that we love. With it being in reverse, it's talking about overcoming that. Devil in reverse with the Strength card both together, to me, speaks of a lot of just like really healthy growth together, where it's like tackling these things that do like, it's like tackling the things that are barriers between you and feeling all the love and happiness that you wish you could feel with the people and the world around you. It's like, as we move through our life, we kind of adopt these unhealthy cycles just through whether it be coping mechanisms or just not really having it explained any better to us, or nobody's taken the time to talk to us and be like, hey, it's really not cool the way that you get so mad about bottle brushes, or it's like my husband didn't have to say that, I was able to come to it myself. But it's like this, you have to be willing to understand that it's like we're not perfect, that we each have these little things going on for us. But I think it's like, again, sorry, got a little rambly there. I really do think you guys together will be able to help each other through this. It's like you'll be able to kind of free these chains from each other almost, where it's like, if you didn't realize you had this thing that was limiting you in some way, I think this person, because they are from, they're coming in it from a different vantage point, they can maybe see these things a little bit better, and they can see the things that you have going on a little bit better too. So lots of growth here, very healthy. I do think there is just going to be a lot of healing here. Probably a lot of happy crying too. Happy crying can be very healthy, a lot of release of energy. which is good. And the card that was on the bottom of the deck before I shuffled the clarifying card was the Five of Wands in reverse, which Five of Wands upright is all about conflict. With it being in reverse, it is lessening conflict. So again, for some people, it could even be that you've been in such a bad, relationship setting sometimes where it's like, we'll say like fights or arguments were just very accepted and kind of like expected almost at times. I feel like this person will definitely like that not be the case for them. And so if you've maybe been, it's like you've had to defend your ego by being, it's like because people have met you with their swords raised, you've kind of had to meet them with your swords raised too. I feel like this person will be somebody who it's like that's not what they have personally known in relationships. And so it's like, it's like, again, vice versa. And so you guys will kind of help each other work through this process. And again, just recognize anytime there's an emotion you don't want to be feeling coming up, it's because there's a wound or something happening that is not in alignment. So, all right, let's go ahead and do our last oracle cards. And close this out. Peace! Aw! How perfect! After we just pulled that Five of Wands in reverse. So yes, this will be probably one of your most peaceful relationships, which I know some people can kind of equate like fighting with passion. So it's like if we're arguing, or it's like if we can like really work through this stuff, that means that we like care about each other. But there's healthier ways to work through things. It doesn't always have to be kind of like fighting and stuff like that. But again, I think it's like, it all depends on how the ego is treated, where it's like, again, it's like we can only respond with kind of like the energy that we have known. So, if that is the case, it's like if you kind of have had to be a little bit more protective of yourself in the past and kind of felt like you had to like stand up for yourself and your decisions and kind of all of these things, I think this person will just be a lot more accepting in some way. Okay. Space and intuition. Very interesting. So yeah, I think this person is going to just like, in general, the feeling that I'm getting is like they will kind of have a lot of their like just personal life figured out, which again can be refreshing if maybe you've been with people who are a little bit more chaotic in the past. Particularly with the space card, it's like I feel like this person will be very comfortable with space in the relationship, which may be one of those things that hurts your ego in the beginning here. But it's actually like pretty good to have a bit of space in a relationship where it's like, if there's yin and yang energy, where it's like yang is that active presence energy, yin is that kind of receptive, like void energy. It's like when you have a little bit of distance between you and the other person, it's like it actually enables for a little bit of longing and like stuff to develop in a way that it's like a different process that happens than when you're actively with each other. And also for some people, it could even be that this person is long distance. There was like the runaway thing over here. So I was saying it's like, oh, maybe they've just moved down to you, or maybe you guys will meet over distance and then one of you will end up moving to each other. And so there will be a bit of space or like physical distance in the relationship in the beginning, which very interesting. I also was in, for my person, it was like, we met. He ended up moving to a different city. We were long distance for a bit, and then he ended up moving back, and we now currently live together and are married and are very happy, obviously. So very interesting for pile one here. The next card you have is intuition. So for this pile, I feel like your intuition will definitely let you know when you meet this person. I feel like I personally may have even picked pile one if I was doing the pick a card, just because I feel like this does have so many ties to my personal story. But again, because this person may be so different from somebody that you have dated before, for me, my intuition really had to like hound in my head. It's like, no, you like this person. I was having dreams about him. Again, I just thought we were really good friends and stuff, but like I had a dream where it was like, oh man, we joke about it all the time now, but it's like I remember it's like my husband looking at me and he just like picked up my hand and had the most just kind of like borderline sarcastic, just like smile on his face, where it was just kind of like, look, hand, us holding them, happy, and like just like walking through like a meadow or something like that. It's like genuinely like so like it was like my intuition or my like inner self really had to be like, no, you dumb bitch, you like this person romantically, not just as a friend. So for some of you guys, your intuition may definitely step in to help just like kind of affirm for you that this is your person. Or even, for me, it's like, you may have to have them like beat you over the head with it a little bit where it's like, no, this person will be so good for you. You just have to trust us. And it's worked out great. And again, it's like as we went through our life together, it's like we definitely had our fair share of things that we had to be like, okay, we really like each other. We want to make sure that this works out. What is it that we need to do to work through this thing that we're feeling? And I think that's really the marker of any good relationship. It's like, yes, there is compatibility, but I think ultimately it's like this continual coming back together when you guys do get a little bit of separation or distance in the relationship, like emotionally, and just trying to figure out how you can go back to what it is that you would like to be feeling with each other. So yeah, very cool. This person may also be somebody who is very intuitive, like maybe they also watch tarot videos or things like that. Or at the very least, I feel like they will be somebody who is open to you doing stuff like this, which I feel like for some people may have even been a thing that your past relationships didn't really quite treat as seriously as it is, So there you guys go, pile number 1. That is who you are meant to be with. So go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe down below if this resonated with you. And if you like any of the decks that I used in this reading, those are all available on my website and is an awesome way to support the channel without getting a personal reading. So thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye. All right, welcome, pile 2. You guys picked the Rainbow Tarot by So Lazo. This is one of my favorite decks. This is the new version of the deck. There was an old version, but the artist of this just started like wholesaling it finally. There are a lot of fakes of this deck out there, so I just want to say this is the real version of the deck. If you have this deck, you may want to check to see if you have a real or a fake version, and the real versions are available on my website. But let's go ahead and see who you guys are meant to be with. All right. So, and I feel like me even mentioning that there are a lot of fakes of this deck out there may have even been important to your guys' reading. So I feel like for some of you guys, you may have had an issue in the past with kind of getting a lot of like, we'll say like people who say one thing but kind of like do another. It's like they try to present themselves as being a certain type of person or a certain type of way, but in the reality of the situation, that's not the case. But let's go ahead and see. So we've got the Wheel of Fortune, the 9 of Wands in reverse, and the Queen of Pentacles upright. And the card on the bottom is the Ace of Cups in reverse. Very interesting. So the Ace of Cups when it's upright is all about kind of like a new emotional state, or like a it's something new kind of entering into the picture. It's like if all of the aces are seeds that are just being planted. It's interesting that this is in reverse. So I feel like for you guys here, this may be like your person that you're ultimately going to be with. It may be somebody who you know. So it may not be like a totally brand new person coming into the picture. Could be somebody you know, could maybe even been somebody that you have been in a relationship before. Personally, I don't like to put that out there a lot because I feel like, it's like if things didn't work out with somebody the first time, a lot of times it's like when we try to go back and revisit things, they end up not working out for the same reasons as the first time, but it's just kind of comfortable to go back to those people. But sometimes, we meet people at the wrong time, so it's like, there's a little bit of healing that needed to happen, and then when we do go back to them, it's like, oh, this is the right connection. We felt it back then, but it's like we just weren't evolved enough, we just weren't grown enough in some way to be able to work through our differences at that previous point in time. I think that's the most important distinction, is if this person has grown, or it's like, you've really both changed as individuals, because especially with this first card here being the Wheel of Fortune, which is about the progression and passion, maybe passion, hey, oh my gosh, what is it? Passage, there we go. The progression or passage of time, it's like the grand wheels of the cosmic machine just kind of turning ever so wonderfully in our favor to make things align. For some people, this could maybe even be somebody that you've kind of like had a crush on for a while, and it's like, things just finally have clicked in the right way, so now things are progressing a little bit. So there's also a lot of kind of like luck that comes along with the Wheel of Fortune. So the card on the bottom of the deck said that this may not be like a new person coming into the picture, which I'm glad it's there, because maybe if it wasn't there, I would read the Wheel of Fortune as like, oh, someone just kind of serendipitously coming into the picture. But I really do feel like for a lot of you people here, it's like the passage of time is going to be like an important factor for this one, where it's like there's going to be a certain timing aspect, I think, of you meeting this person or you getting together with this person. So could even be for some, it's like, you know, don't get into a new relationship for a bit while you're waiting for this thing to happen, because maybe if you were with somebody, you know, and this thing did serendipitously happen, it's like you wouldn't be in a space where you were, you know, obviously able to accept a new relationship at that time. Okay, so the next one that we have here is the Nine of Wands. So Nine of Wands, when it's upright, is about kind of like taking this last final push to get away from these kind of like old repeating cycles. With it being in reverse, it's saying, again, not for that. I feel like for some of the people who are watching this, the person who you're going to be with may even be the person that you are currently with. To me, it's like the Nine of Wands in reverse, it's like, to me, kind of saying it's like not taking this last final push away from this. It's like not getting something new, but just kind of waiting for things in the current place to just kind of like turn a little bit more favorably. I feel like this will only be for some people who are watching this, but I know sometimes it's like, and I kind of touched on this even in the last reading, so maybe if you're so inclined to go back and watch pile 1. But there's a lot of kind of just like healing and growth that has to happen in a relationship for two people to be able to come together very fully. So it could be that it's like, you know, you're meant to be with this person, but just kind of like there has to be some motion or some movement to make things kind of work a little bit more harmoniously for you guys. Or it could even be that you're both like pretty young right now, and so it's like you may not know if this is going to be your end all be all for sure person, but just kind of as time progresses, I think you may grow a little bit more, you may just be a little bit more sound in that decision. Or it could be that you've even gotten into a new relationship very recently, and so just kind of like time will tell is what it's saying. Okay. So yeah, I've talked about the Nine of Wands in reverse. So next we've got the Queen of Pentacles upright. So Queen of Pentacles, to me, very loving, nurturing, you know, just kind of like minor arcana version of the Empress, especially because the Empress has all those plants around her. The Queen of Pentacles has all that planty goodness. So for some of you people, this person may be really into plants, if that's the thing that calls out to you, or you may be really into plants. This person may also be a woman for some of the people who are open to dating women. It's interesting, there's like the bunny here and the bunny on the Wheel of Fortune too. Just slightly different like colors from each other. So it could even be that it's like the person that you ultimately end up being with, even if it's not the person that you are currently with, it's somebody who is very similar to somebody that you have been with. So with this Ace of Cups, it's like in reverse, it's not like a whole new kind of emotional state. It's someone that just kind of fits very in line with the cycles that you already have developed. But could also be an earth sign like a Taurus, Capricorn, or what's the last one? What's the last earth sign? Virgo? Virgo, yeah. Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. So maybe even a Virgo. I feel like Virgo. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and get some archetypes for you, and we will pull one more row of tarot and oracle after this as well. And I think for some people too, it's like you don't have to do anything drastically different to meet this person if you're not currently in a relationship. All right, so cartographer, pathless in reverse, and brawler in reverse. So I didn't really read reversals in the last one, but I'll go ahead and read reversals this time. So cartographer, so crossroads and exploration. It's interesting that we got this one right under the Wheel of Fortune, because there's just like that big wheel there as well. So definitely confirmation for that, where it's just like something about just like the timing of this is again going to be very important. So it could even, for some people, it could even be that this person will be kind of like coming into the picture. Maybe it's like, or when you're traveling somewhere, you'll meet this person. I feel like a key thing to look for this person, though, will be that they love to travel. Travel is going to be really, really big for them. They may have been to a lot of different countries. They want to take you to a lot of different countries. And if you are currently in a relationship with somebody, you know, I've always heard a really good way to, like, test your compatibility is to travel with somebody, because it's kind of like a slightly stressful situation, but not too stressful of a situation. So you can kind of see how they handle just, like, stress, or just kind of like, you know, being in an unfamiliar situation, how you guys problem solve together. You know, some people just, you know, you can find out you're not compatible, you know, just by doing things together and seeing just kind of like that you are a little bit different than you thought. Or again, for this one, because it is both positive, I think you guys will see that you do click and you do think about things very similarly in these ways. For pathless being reverse here, it's actually really interesting. So you see how it's like circle, circle, and then it's like even with all the like sticks here, that kind of looks like the black space between the hands here. I'm going to go ahead and pull a clarifying card for this, just in case. I'm going to use the deck I've already used though. So ooh, all of my cards fell. So kind of the first thing that jumped into my head again was that you really are going to like know this person, or you currently already do know this person. Just because of the pathless in reverse and like difficult decision, lack of direction in reverse, I feel like this could even be somebody that it's like, I really do feel like you have like pined over this person. And so it's like, it's definitely not going to be a difficult decision when things do kind of finally work out for you. It's going to almost be just like a yes, like finally, I think is what wanted to come through. And then the clarifying card that came out was the Ten of Pentacles, which is about kind of like completion of a cycle. To me, this even has a little bit of like the Ten of Cups energy, where there's that child in there. So it looks like a happy, just awesome family together. So for some of you people watching this, you may already be in a relationship and you're kind of just looking to this for confirmation. This is your confirmation. You're with the right person. Okay. So for the last card here, we've got the Brawler in reverse. So lack of empathy or confrontation. With it being reverse, I feel like this is a person who definitely just does not want to fight with you on certain things. That could even maybe be a challenge in the relationship, is maybe they're so unconfrontational that sometimes it's like, you know, when you need a little bit of friction to get things worked out, it's like they're so receptive to things. But I just think this is awesome. You know, I really like, I feel this kind of like almost like inevitability of this card. And so it's kind of just like, you know, they won't fight it, or like you won't fight it when it does happen. But I feel like this could be a person too who is like, maybe they've worked on like their anger issues or something, is a thing that I'm seeing. And that could even be a reason why it's like the timing of this needed to be, you know, it's like a little particulars, like if you guys came together before it was too soon, maybe when they were still working through this, you know, it wouldn't have quite worked out in the same way. So yeah, all right, so that's that one. Let me go ahead and pull the next row of tarot cards. I'm going to tuck this one underneath. Okay. So, all right, so that's kind of like about the person. So since it's so tied to kind of like the timing here, that's come up pretty strongly. What can you tell us about the timing of this? Oh, wow. A lot of cards in reverse. So I feel like for a lot of you, so some people, confirmation already with this person. I feel like for most of the people who are watching this though, now is not the right time, particularly because I asked about the timing. All these are in reverse, saying it's not quite the time yet. Yeah, so Knight of Swords in reverse. So Knight of Swords when it's upright is all about moving forward with things rather quickly. I feel like, again, because there is still something that needs to happen here before you two guys can come together, it's like, if this is somebody that you're pining over, or like, you know, it's somebody that you know or is already introduced to your path, I think this, like, don't expect it to happen quickly. I think that can really alleviate some pressure on you. So it's like, oh my God, I have to make this happen right now. Who knows if I'll see, how long this person will be in my life or something like that. Don't rush it, because if you do try to rush into this, I think it's not going to quite work out in the way that you want to. Obviously the people that we're meant to be with will be the people that we are meant to be with. But if you rush into this too soon, I think you may end up having to take a bit of space or distance from each other, like end up being out of this relationship for a bit so the healing can happen so you could come back together. But with this, just be patient. Everything will happen as it is meant to happen, because that's just so wild to me. That is so wild. That is so confirmative for me. And even him here, he's got a circle behind him and none of these other two cards. This one kind of has it. This one doesn't have a circle. So, there's this real strong emphasis on timing and not rushing into things and not getting into it before its proper time is here. So for you guys, let this other person be the one to ask you out, maybe even, I asked my husband out first. So it's like, don't let your gender kind of stop you, for the people who that applies to. Because again, there is some process that needs to happen before things can work out fully. Again, you do have the rabbit here and you've got that rabbit here. So it's like, that will come, it will happen for you. But patience can be such a difficult lesson to learn. So it's like, if you can learn it here at the onset of the relationship rather than having to learn it in the relationship, I think things will just work out a lot better. The card in the middle here is the Ten of Swords in reverse. So Ten of Swords, when it's upright, is kind of about feeling like mentally defeated. With it being in reverse, it is the healing of that mental defeat. So to me, this is kind of about when things maybe finally come together for you guys. It's like, if your mind was so mean to you, where it's like, oh my God, like, they don't like me because of this, or they don't like me because they said that, or all of these kind of little things where it's like, our mind is constantly trying to problem solve things when they don't quite work out in the way that we want them to, or things aren't happening, just like as intended. So it's a very natural thing for the mind to go through all those little, just like, what ifs. But I feel like there is going to be a big alleviation of that. And particularly, I think even for some people, just knowing that it's not quite the right time for this to happen yet, that can also help to alleviate some of that mental stress, because it's not that it's like you're doing anything wrong, you're not. It's just something else needs to happen first. So it's like, there is a proper timing for certain things. And so that can just help, in my opinion. All right, well, sorry about that. My phone went off. Had to go answer that. Yeah, so I feel like, again, when the don't worry about just it happening right now and focusing so much of your mental energy towards trying to make that happen right now, because it will just naturally happen. And so stressing about it is only going to, I think, hurt you just in like your own mental sense of peace. For the next card that we have here, we've got the Strength card in reverse, which they are choosing to call Fortitude. And this card actually did come up in pile 1, so I feel like, again, for some people who feel called to, go watch pile 1, but again, not for everybody, because there were some differences between the two messages. But the Strength card, when it's upright, is all about having like a situation that we need to kind of like grow and heal from, that involves kind of like taming and silencing the ego in some way. So it's like our ego is wounded and reacting negatively to something, and from a higher perspective, we need to be able to like look at it, see that, and heal from it. With it being in reverse and it being underneath the Brawler card here, I feel like, again, that's the reason why this timing of things can't quite work out, is like there's some wound to your ego or this other person's ego that needs to be healed from. Or this may sound really weird, it could even be that there is some wound to the ego that hasn't happened yet. I feel like for some of us, it's like, a really, really good relationship helps us heal from all of these things that we've kind of gone through, or it's like the wounds that we've gotten through our life, whether it be like childhood or previous relationships. There's a lot of healing that happens with that. So it could be that you guys ultimately on the other side of the veil agreed to kind of have each other work through whatever this thing is, but it just hasn't quite developed yet in the way that it's needed to in order for that to come together. That's only going to be for some people here. For other people, it is just going to be that you're going to miss out on maybe seeing some of that ego, so maybe some of that aggression or that brawler energy here. that this person does need to work through before you guys can come together. So let's go ahead and pull the last row of oracle cards here. So these are the last little things to look out for, or things that they can tell us about this relationship when it does finally go together. Oh my god, and the growth card is on the bottom of the split, and I was just talking about that, so confirmation for me. All right, so rejection, caution in reverse, and strength. Oh my god, strength in reverse twice. How interesting. So, yeah, I guess I am reading reversals for this. I didn't read reversals in the last one, but, you know, they just weren't meant to have them, I guess. So rejection, caution in reverse, and strength in reverse. So with the rejection card being here, I feel like this could even be a person who it's like you tried to go out with in the past and they did turn you down. Again, only for some people out there, but there is this sense of, again, I think feeling with this is like you may currently feel just like you are being rejected, or again, it did actually happen, but I do think, again, the timing of things needs to be just a little bit different. And so remember that it's like timing does not always necessarily work on our timetable. You know, sometimes this could be, you know, the Wheel of Fortune is number 10, so this could even be like 10 years down the line, and maybe you're both meant to like marry other people in the meantime and then eventually come back together, because again, there's just certain things that we're meant to go through with other people in that span of time. But okay, so rejection, we've got caution in reverse, which is interesting. So, you know, definitely don't be so scared of rejection that you like don't shoot your shot, kind of. Like I said earlier in this, it's like, you know, I had to be the person to ask my husband out. That may have come through for pile one. But, you know, it's like we only live our life once, you know, we only have, you know, brief spans of time with people, even though it's like, you know, if you're in school or at a job or something, it can feel like forever. Things can change so suddenly. People can move. Things can happen just in an instant. So do make sure that you are living true to yourself and making sure that it's like, you know, you're not keeping things in to the point where it's like you mentally feel trapped. Do make sure that you do get it out there and let it happen. You know, sometimes we do plant seeds and then it ends up taking off later, or sometimes it's like, you know, maybe through rejection of somebody else, it's like, you know, you then release that person mentally and then someone else comes into the picture who is like, hey, I saw what you did and I thought that was really brave, you know, like, here's my number if you ever want it or something. But don't let caution hold you back. Again, live true to yourself and do the things that you ultimately want to do. And obviously, if you're living in alignment with you, you are going to attract somebody who's also in alignment with that. So I've got that there, and strength in reverse yet again. I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and pull one more clarifying card for that, just because it did show up twice. Oh my gosh, and the card on the bottom of the deck from pulling this clarifying card is the 8 of Pentacles, which strength is the number 8. This is 8. That being 8 is kind of like a triple 8 for me. All right, so what can you tell us about that? Oh, the 3 of Coins upright. Interesting. High Priestess in reverse. So 3 of Coins is all about kind of like teamwork and cooperation with each other. So it could be that that's the thing that he has to kind of, I said he, you know, this other person may have to kind of like work through, is maybe they just kind of don't really know how to get along or work together with their partner yet. And so, or maybe that's the thing that you need to learn, is how to kind of like work together with your partner. And so it's like, until that can kind of happen, that's like, that would be when the timing of this could work out, because it's like, if you know, sometimes people can kind of view it as like them versus their partner. And so it's like, they're always trying to make sure that they are getting treated the best or okay, or like whatever. Or it's like they treat their own needs kind of over the needs of like the relationship, if that makes sense, where it's like, you know, again, we do have to silence the ego sometimes in order to make compromises, you know, it's like compromises make the relationships work so well. And so it's like, maybe that's a thing that you're both kind of having to learn, is how to make compromises. And then once that happens, you guys can come together. Not bad compromises, you know, where it's like, oh, I really want someone who's going to treat me with respect. Well, I don't want to respect you, so let's just meet in the middle of me kind of respecting you. Like, that's not okay. But it's like, you know, there's like certain things where it's like, well, I want this color couch, well, I want this to be here or something. And it's like you guys just got to kind of find ways to be okay and meet in the middle sometimes. All right, so the card that was on the bottom of the deck before I pulled that was the Five of Coins in reverse. So Five of Coins when it's upright is about kind of like financial hardship and loss. With it being in reverse, that's kind of like overcoming financial hardship and loss. So that could even be a sign for kind of like the timing of certain things is kind of like, you know, one of you may have just overcome something, or it's like, you know, with it being in reverse, sometimes it can be talking about like fully avoiding just having that. So this, and with the Wheel of Fortune too, it could be this person kind of swoops in and helps kind of take you out of what would be a difficult situation sometimes too. But all right, that is your reading, pile number 2. So that is who you're meant to be with, somebody who is maybe in the picture already, but it's just not quite time for you guys to work out and like meet up. So hopefully just recognizing that it's like you're not doing anything wrong, you know, for why you're not in this relationship yet. Time just needs to progress a little bit, and some lessons need to be learned before that can come together first. So take care, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked any of the decks that I used in this reading, these are all available on my website, which will be linked down below. I also offer personal readings, but the best way that you can support me is just by leaving a like, comment, and subscribe on this video here. Ring that bell notification if you want to see every time I post videos, but your support to the channel really means a lot for me. And I'm just starting out. I want to get to 100 subscribers. Maybe when I do, I'll do a little giveaway or something. But all right, guys, take care and have an awesome rest of your day. Bye. Hello, welcome, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. You guys picked the Prism Oracle, which is one of my new Oracle decks. I usually like to start with tarot, but recently my spirit guides have been having me make one deck or like one pile that's a little bit different and starts with Oracle. So that could even be a thing for you. Maybe you guys are a little bit different, or you like to do things a little bit differently than most people. So I filmed a version of this where I tried to go back and forth between the Oracle and Tarot, but it wants me to do both of the Oracle cards first, so I don't have to film this a third time. I'm going to go ahead and listen in because that's what happened in my last one. All right, so you've got Surrender, Energy, and Cleanse in reverse. So let me go ahead and see what I feel from these. So interesting with like surrender. Surrender to me has a bit of kind of like acceptance to it, where it's like kind of just accepting and going along with the flow of the universe, even if it doesn't necessarily always make sense. Particularly for me, it's like, you know, I just did this last reading, it felt really good, and then all of a sudden it just felt very not good. And so I just had to be okay with surrendering and going back and reshuffling the pile. So for some of you guys, there could be something where it's like maybe your guides have been telling you like, you know, a certain thing about your next person, or kind of like maybe even that there's this particular person in your life that you need to maybe start considering, and maybe you've been a little bit resistant to it. So there is a bit of surrender that I think will have to come with this, where it's like just acceptance of what your own inner guidance is telling you. With the energy card being here too, I feel like for the guys who picked this deck or picked this pile, it's like you may be a little bit more like energetically inclined or sensitive than some of the other people around you, and so I feel like you really do just like pick up on people's energy very readily. And I feel like the person that you have coming into the picture for you will also be somebody who kind of picks up on energy very readily. And that could even be it, where it's like maybe this is a person who you wouldn't normally necessarily go for, like they're not your type TM, but something about the energy is just something that you feel like you want to surrender to and kind of go along with that. You have the Cleanse card on the bottom of the, or like in reverse over here. I feel like with the Cleanse card coming up, I feel like for some people, maybe because you are so energetically inclined, you may feel like you have to go through like a bit of like purification or something like that, or even just like you have some like inner work that you want to do before you enter into a new relationship with somebody. With this card showing up in reverse here, I don't feel like you have to do anything of that sort in order to kind of get this relationship that's kind of, I feel like maybe even already happening here. With the surrender, to me, this implies that this may even be a person that is already in the picture or something that you're already aware of a little bit, just because I think you have already started to receive a little bit of guidance about this. And the card on the bottom of the deck is mystery in reverse, so I feel like this isn't a mystery to you. I feel like you kind of know who your person is. But let's go ahead and get the last of the oracle cards before I start doing those tarot cards. So these will be archetypes. So this will be confirmation for you guys, since apparently you already know who this is. Some of you guys may already even be married or in a relationship and kind of just looking to this for confirmation, but it's like, you know what it is. Okay. That would make sense too with the cleanse in reverse. It's not like you don't have to clean house to make way for somebody else, you know? Okay. All right, so all reverse, I'm going to flip these over. Okay, so we got musician, assassin, and centennial. So musician, so this could be somebody who is musically inclined. They may play guitar or piano or kind of just, do like little beats and stuff on their computer, or at the very least be interested in like just kind of like that as a whole. Like music may be just a very important thing to them. Inspiration and gratitude. So if they do make music, this could be somebody who it's like they just kind of have a very inspired outlook on life for the most part, where it's like they kind of just constantly create these new little things, or maybe they're always singing little songs or things like that. So that could be cute. And it's also, we've got like the circles above it here, and this one has a little circle on it, which is interesting. Circle, circle. Oh, and this one looks kind of like, I don't know, cool. And that's got a cool little thing on it. Okay. It's kind of like the little center lines match up here perfectly too. So assassin, ruthless, and conviction. So this could be a person who's very competitive. The thing that popped into my head is somebody who like won't let you win at board games or something, where it's like they kind of take everything a little bit seriously. But the assassin too, it's like, assassins like kill people, and like, death in tarot signifies just like a very drastic kind of like ego death or change. So for a lot of you guys, it could be that this person is somebody who will just like inspire a lot of change for you, which could be one of the reasons why you're a little maybe resistant to get into this, is maybe you can kind of sense that there is going to have to be like that ego death that happens, where it's like, you will still be you, but you're going to have to stop doing some of the things that you currently do in order to make this kind of like work in the way that it needs to. For the last of the oracle cards here, we've got centennial, so determination and certainty. And centennials are like protectors too. It's like, I think those are the people that go and like stand guard outside of the city and stuff like that. So I feel like this person is somebody who's very like protective over you too. It's like they're definitely like, somebody who I think is willing to fight for things if they need to, but for the most part, it's like they do a really good job of just making sure you feel like safe, secure, and just like kind of like at peace in your home together, kind of. So, all right, let's go ahead and get those tarot cards now. Oh, and the card on the bottom of this deck is the Muse. So definitely a confirmation for that like musician. Even if they're not like a musician, they could be like an artist, but the musician card is the one that did come up. So, okay, let's do this. All right, so we've got the King of Swords in reverse, the Page of Cups upright, and the Page of Swords upright. So it's interesting, it's like King in reverse with two pages upright. So for the musician one here, they may not be somebody who's like a professional musician, but they may be somebody who that's kind of just like their passion. It's like with pages, that's kind of like novice energy, but I guess it could also be just kind of like so it's like, to me, it's like when you have the court cards, it kind of talks about this progression of like development and mastery and understanding for certain things. With the page, it could just be that it's kind of like one of their peripheral interests. They don't really care much about going super professional with it or anything, but it's just a thing that kind of makes them happy for some of the people out there. For other people, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. With the King of Swords being in reverse, and especially with both of these pages here, this is somebody who they like, they don't have everything like mentally figured out, and I feel like they may not try to portray themselves as somebody who does have everything figured out. I think they're very okay with kind of being involved with the process, or it's like there's somebody who's kind of okay with admitting when they don't always know something or they don't have that level of expertise quite yet, which to me is really awesome. I think it shows that they're very open to growth and very willing to admit when they do need growth in certain things, which to me is kind of hitting on a little bit more of that like spiritual kind of like mindset maybe, or a little bit more energetically inclined with the first cards that we got here. Particularly, Page of Cups is somebody who's willing to be very vulnerable, particularly like sharing how they're feeling about things and their emotional state. Page of Swords is somebody who's not afraid to share their ideas, even though they're kind of just forming them, or it's like they have a particular kind of like communication style that is very focused on kind of like sharing, and it's like sometimes it's like they'll say stuff just because they want to say it, not necessarily because it's gonna, it's so important or anything. So they may be very like communicative with you too, or they just kind of like to talk about whatever it is they can. It's like there's kind of almost like this kind of like puppy love, this kind of like puppy level of excitement still with it, which is cute. I love that. So let's go ahead and get that last row of oracle cards, or tarot cards, excuse me. So, all right, so if you guys have already met, let's pull some cards for what you guys can do to kind of come together or get even more in alignment with each other. All right, yeah, so we got the Fool in reverse, 8 of Cups upright, and 4 of Wands. Yay! Oh my god, the 4 of Wands is a marriage card. How exciting. And then really quick, the card on the bottom of the deck for the last row was the 6 of Coins in reverse, which when it's upright is all about kind of like getting handouts or things like that. With it being reverse, I feel like it's like, this person won't be willing to just kind of like swoop in like the knight in shining armor and kind of just like make everything better for you. But I feel like kind of like with especially like this page energy here and the energy and surrender and stuff, I feel like there's somebody who they're willing to engage in the process to make things better. Like even if they can't offer you something, they'll kind of work with you to kind of try and help you get it, if that makes sense. Okay, so the first card here is the Fool in reverse, and that paired with the 8 of Cups and with some of the other stuff that we picked up on here, especially all this, I do feel like you already know this person. Fool, when it's upright, is all about a brand new thing, it's like starting something totally brand new. It's the beginning of the major arcana Fool cycle. So it being in reverse is saying this isn't going to be anything new to you. You just got to surrender to what the universe is already kind of like presenting to you. The next card here is the 8 of Cups, which is all about journeys. It's like an emotional journey. It's like having to so like the number 8 in tarot, it's like the major arcana association with that is the Strength card, which is kind of similar-ish to the 8 of Cups. It's like the 8 of Cups is more of like an emotional hurdle to kind of tackle. That feels a little bit daunting, and that could even be one of the reasons why you guys haven't gotten together yet, is there's that emotional hurdle of having to confess to this person and telling them that you like them, or vice versa. Some of you guys might even be friends already, and it's like, you like this person. You kind of feel like that they like you too, and all you have to do is just kind of have that conversation, which can be very difficult at times. But again, I think that's that page energy that's coming up here, is like that willingness to be vulnerable and share. I think you guys have probably seen enough of each other at this point to know that you guys want to see more of each other, or kind of like, in a slightly different context. If you're worried about potentially like ruining this relationship, I would not worry about that. Particularly because this 4 of Wands is showing up here, which the 4 of Wands is a marriage card. I do think that if you do go ahead and act on this, good things will happen for you guys. Not to say that things will just be like, oh my god, we're going to mesh so perfectly and we're not going to have any struggles in our relationship. It's like, there's always this kind of having to come together and like grow and develop with each other, and it's like different people have different expectations in relationships, so then you have to kind of match up and be like, okay, this is what I was expecting, this was what you were expecting, okay, now this is what we can both expect from each other in the future. But So I think with that, it's like as long as you're both willing to kind of take that dedicated journey with each other in order to make sure that it does end up in a happy like relationship, it's like I think that's kind of just like the most important thing, you know? It's like as long as you're both willing to engage with each other and grow with each other in order to ensure that the relationship thrives, you know, I feel like you can kind of, you've probably already seen enough of this person's character to know that that's a thing that they would be willing to undertake with you. But hey, really congratulations for you guys. That is very exciting. And the card on the bottom of the deck here is the Queen of Wands. The two people in the Four of Wands are women. Queen of Wands on the bottom is a woman. So for some people, that may be the kind of relationship that you're interested in. For other people, just take this as confirmation. You know, if everything else is resonating, don't let that one little thing just kind of trip you up. But Queen of Wands is all about self-assurance, confidence. It's interesting, I think I talked vaguely about the Strength card because she's got the two lions from the Strength card behind her too, and her cat. So there is this kind of just like growing together, and it's like because you guys do work through these things, I think it only adds to kind of like your confidence in each other as a couple and a relationship. And it can be very empowering to work through difficulties with somebody else, and it can be very reassuring to have somebody else there who's also dedicated to the same things. So, all right, that is what I have for you guys. Pile number 3. Thank you so much for watching this. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like, comment, or subscribe down below. Also, if you liked any of the decks that I used in this reading, these are all available on my website and is a phenomenal way to support me. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching yet again. I will see you guys in the next one, and I hope this works out just oh so beautifully for you guys. So take care. Bye.